The digestive system is responsible for both mechanical and chemical digestion. It ingests food, separates chemical nutrients, and eliminates non-digestible remains.
This whole system starts in the mouth. In the mouth, we have 3 pairs of salivary glands that produce saliva. Saliva contains enzymes that begin to digest starch. Along with keeping the mouth moist, it also improves food taste. As we ingest food, it is torn apart by teeth. Beginning the physical digestion, chopping it into smaller pieces. Our meal consists of a McDonald's cheeseburger. This burger contains carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. Although the teeth make the food smaller, it is still too big to swallow, so it needs to be ground up by the molars.
In saliva, there is an enzyme called amylase. It breaks down polysaccharides into maltose. Glucagon is secreted by the pancreas when blood glucose is low. Before eating, it stimulates the liver to break down glucagon to glycose. After chewing the food, it becomes a bolus. It travels down the pharynx. During swallowing, the soft plate moves back, and the trachea moves up and under the epiglottis. When you swallow, you aren't breathing.
From the pharynx, the bolus tracks down to the esophagus. The esophagus muscles, sphincters, act as valves. The tubes open to allow the bolus to enter when the sphincters relax.
From the esophagus, the bolus enters the stomach. The stomach is highly acidic, its pH balance being 1.5 to 3.5. The gastric juice helps break down protein physically. The stomach is also covered in rugae, but it disappears once the stomach enlarges.
Gastric glands produce gastric juice for the stomach. It contains pepsinogen, HCI, and mucus. When pepsinogen and HCI are exposed to each other, pepsinogen becomes the enzyme pepsin, which is how proteins are digested. The stomach churns and mixes the food and enzymes together. After 6 to 8 hours, the stomach empties into the pyloric sphincter. After leaving the pyloric sphincter, in squirts, the food becomes chyme.
Chyme enters the small intestine in squirts. The small intestine is basic because the pancreas secretes a basic fluid containing NaCHO3. On the sides of the small intestines, there are tiny finger-like projections called villi, and the villi have microvilli. They absorb nutrients such as glucose, fatty acids, and amino acids. Blood capillaries and small lymphatic capillaries, called lacteals, are located in the villi. On the venule side of the lacteal, nutrients are absorbed and sent to different places all throughout the body. Amino acids are sent to the liver cells and joined together to make proteins.
Once the bolus has left the stomach, it is now chyme. Chyme moves through the small intestine through the act of peristalsis. The duodenum, the first 25 meters of the small intestine, also contains the bile duct, which is the combination of the liver and pancreas duct. The bile duct transports bile and pancreas juice into the small intestine. The chyme moves through the intestine while gradually nutrients are absorbed into the body.
Once the chyme reaches the large intestine and goes through the ecoli sphincter, it is considered feces and gradually loses water. Also in the large intestine is the appendix, which acts as a home for bacteria to fight infections. There's many different types of bacteria in the large intestine.
As the chyme makes its way through the large intestine, water and other enzymes missed by the small intestine are absorbed. This turns the chyme into feces for the anus. This process is called peristalsis.
Once the feces enters the rectum, peristalsis starts and the rectal wall stretches. Nerve impulses to the spinal cords signal muscle contractions, relaxing the anal sphincter.
Finally, feces is expelled through the anal sphincters in a process called defecation.